I am deeply sorry for the break in transmission. I think my other network just went off, so I have to switch over network and it created problem. So welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am their West African correspondent, Edward Amara. Welcome to this important news forum where we educate, we entertain, and we inform almost everything African about. We inform you about everything that happens on the continent. Focus on Liberia uses this particular forum to ensure that we inform you, we educate you, and we tell you about things that actually happen on the continent on a daily basis. We all know Africa as a continent is full of maybe divergent view, and because of the manner in which we constructed our history, the manner in which Africa maybe was carefully divided into the 1900s, it has resulted into huge amount of setbacks, and those setbacks have led to poor leadership. Maybe it has led to the violations of people's rights. It has also led to the creation of a type of system of government which is probably definitely not working for most of the African states. It has also led to series of demonstrations. It has led to war like the war that Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea experienced, Ivory Coast. And it also led to maybe coup d'etat. When we speak of coup d'etat, we know that is an unlawful way of taking over governance system that have resulted into series of crises, and we have forgotten for quite a long time about still coup d'etat. But unfortunately, in the early 2000s, we saw other things happening, and one of those things was that the resurfacing of coup d'etat on the continent. We saw the like of we saw the like of Burkina Faso. We also saw what happened in Guinea, Mali, and the philosophy has definitely changed. We have seen draconian leaders coming and leaving, those who we are pressured to leave out of power, the like of Yaya Jammeh. So all of those things are definitely happening. So when Focus on Liberia come with latest development on the continent, we carefully try to inform you about this event, and we also entertain you, we educate you, and we also ask you to hit the sharing button to ensure that our programs are being shared so that we can have maybe a huge amount of coverage, people who listen, and also people who contribute. So you are free to contribute, to make your own personal contribution on the program, because we believe in quality dissemination of information. We also believe in informing, entertaining, and especially educating people about things that happens on the continent. Today we have around 9 major headlines to discuss. We have things to do with Liberia, we have things to do with Zimbabwe, we have things to do with Nigeria, Mauritania, Angola, Eritrea. Then we also get down as far as Uganda. So Focus on Liberia, try to ensure that we harvest huge amount of news, especially we go in the length and breadth of the continent. We try to give you news from the east, south, north, west, and even Central African republics. We also give you news about countries like that. Let's first start in Mama Liberia. Ali Koshia, a former warlord of Liberia, has been sentenced in Switzerland. Ali Koshia was found guilty of rape, amputation of people, unlawful killing, destruction of property in the war that took place in Liberia in 1989 to 2003. He refused, or he denied the entire charges, but after careful trials, he was found guilty, and the Swiss court has maintained a verdict. Ali Koshia will therefore be sentenced. It is the first case in trial for somebody who typically commits crimes in Liberia, especially in the war that took place there. But what baffles me, maybe it is like he found himself on a neutral ground where he was definitely not protected. Had it been in Liberia, he would have been living and wandering around as a free man with all the atrocities he committed. If it were not so, the like of Prince Yama Johnson, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and other warlords who committed atrocities against humanity in Liberia, setback of that country for over 20 good years, wouldn't have been making key decisions about on the country's fate. Look like Prince Johnson. Maybe people like that deserve to be behind bars. You watch like Ellen Johnson Sheriff. She came and successfully led the country. After all and sundry knew that she participated in the war, in fact she was an ally to President Charles Gakwana Gange Taylor. So we are looking like Jure Hawa Taylor, who is the vice president of Liberia. But if Taylor is tried for war crimes against Sierra Leoneans and is being prosecuted, had Taylor been tried for war crimes he committed in Liberia, maybe Jure Hawa Taylor wouldn't have been serving as the vice president of Liberia. Rather, she too should have been behind bars. But unfortunately, Taylor was not convicted for crimes against humanity or war crimes that he committed in Liberia. Rather, the war crimes that he supported in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, that was why he was convicted. And even in 55 years, he's serving for. He was actually being tried and convicted for those crimes in Sierra Leone. So we are seeing that maybe Liberia had what they call reconciliation. Their Truth and Reconciliation Commission actually worked perfectly. They presented cases that warranted prosecution in court. But because of the corrupt nature of the system, how unscrupulous the politicians are, they decided to not pursue war and economic court, war crimes and economic court. They said let bygone be bygone. But is there any justice or reconciliation without justice? Can peace be amicably achieved into any country without setting precedents? It's unfortunate. It's a very bastardized situation, very relegating for the country. That is why people still commit crimes into Liberia. It is because precedents we are not set. All those who committed crime are still enduring from those that they actually harm. Those who suffer the punch of their attitudes are still suffering. And those warlords, why do you think Prince Yaman Johnson is so popular today in Liberia, especially in Nimba County, other part of the country? His atrocities that he committed in Liberia, he went and stayed into Nigeria and became he metamorphosed himself into a pastor. Now he's home back defending some of this. Nimensi would have caught up with him. Unfortunately, those things we are not there. That is why when you watch a Liberian society, yes, we may say it is now peaceful because of certain things, but corruption will still continue to exist. Lawlessness will be on the very peak because everything that happened from 1989 to the time when war was officially ended into Liberia, nobody was prosecuted for them. And people now are using those things as precedent to even commit other crimes. If an investigative journalist gets there today, he will be killed. We have seen this. We have seen how mysterious killings have been happening into Monrovia. It is because no precedent was set. Had a precedent been set after everything that took place in that country, people would have been afraid not to further commit crime. But they will still continue to commit crime because virtually no precedent was set. And as long as there is no precedent set to prosecute and jail those who committed crimes, I am afraid, but I have to confess that people will think and feel that misbehaving, corrupting, embezzling, mismanagement, destroying the country's capital, and also the killing of Liberians, committing acts on art is definitely legal thing. Thank God to the Swiss government. Ali Koshal has been convicted and he will definitely be sentenced. Maybe the Liberian government should think about this. But how do you expect George Weah to enforce it when he used Taylor's popularity with Jure Hara Taylor to come into power. Meaning, people will still continue seeing those who kill them, those who caused the rape of their children, those who caused the early demise of thousands of Liberians mutilated. Most of them were decapitated. Some of them were macheted with different type of things. Rape, those gruesome acts have definitely gone with absolute impunity. So it's a disgrace. I think Liberians need to think twice, and maybe an economic and war criminal court need to be set, and those who bear the greatest responsibility need to be prosecuted. In Sierra Leone, it was absolutely different. Peculiarities were set in terms of delivering justice, and those who committed the greatest responsibility are up to now in prison. One Jibiru Masakwa is now very close to Kenny Maya, living in prison. He's here. He was sentenced for over 30 good years, and he has been living in Kigali, Rwanda. He's sent back to complete his prison time here. So if anybody behind his lineage want to commit crime, he will think twice, because he knows exactly what his elder brother, father, whatever thing went through. Anybody with the name of Sanko wanting to come and commit crime in Sierra Leone will commit it now, because they know what RAF is going through. Unfortunately, no, RAFP did not rule Sierra Leone, but NPP ruled Liberia, and NPP, National Patriotic Front, was created by Charles Taylor. So you see, rebel had the opportunity to go into parliament. Which rebel went into Sierra Leone parliament? Nobody did that, and they prosecuted them. That's a sad mistake. And we have some of our brothers and sisters gullibly arguing for this system. And that gullibility should not always be continuing to be associated with our justice system that's become so corrupt. A few times back, the United States had to sanction some key Liberians who are key actors to George Weah. He has to suspend them. It's like the Liberian system is not even monitoring. A few times back, those who were caught with cocaine, we are definitely set free into the country. And when the court order for them to be rearrested, they will know we are to be found. Corrupt system. They carefully made this guy out of the country. We are now seeing all of these things. And yet, a typical Liberian will stand and start to say things. This country is definitely not happy. It's my motherland. My mother hates from Liberia, but definitely the system. I can tell you that positively, things are not actually working. Our justice system, leadership is very poor. No key president are not being set. And people, as long as when you come, if you read down the history of Liberia, you see atrocities that we are committed. And after everything, these things, in fact, the Borishown app is still in Liberia. When you get down into Monrovia, wheresoever you go, you even see how people speak. You see the aggressiveness into them. They have no respect for leadership. They can demonstrate, destroy whatsoever. If president we are set, and people we have been prosecuted for the crimes that they committed against humanity, even in demonstration, in time of protest, people would have been very careful on what to do and what not to do. But since those things are not there, anybody can do anything. Because people who should have been behind bars are deciding our fate. They have almost everything. And how will the parliament even pass law, Senate and whatsoever thing? Those guys corrupted our country, stole our natural resources, committed acts on earth, rape, encouraged youth. Look how the system is deeply, negatively radicalized in Liberia. That is why people think and feel that the best way now to live is the act of committing crime. And when people like that come, their market is almost always available, because there is poverty, there is illiteracy, there is ignorance, and there is lack of transparency. Even the last hope of the common man is definitely not walking into Liberia. And that is that for the story. I don't want to be emotional. Let's come to Sudan. United States has sanctioned the warring parties into Sudan. 5 companies have come under sanction. 18 civilians were killed yesterday. People are still being raped. People are still being tortured. Internet service is not definitely owned. Hospitals have been looted. humanitarian agencies have been attacked. United States, China, Russia, and other African countries are always evacuating their citizens. The North Sudanese are left at the mercy of their own brothers and sisters who are busy killing them. The United States has sanctioned the Sudanese rapid support forces, including Al-Buham. They are saying that sanction will definitely affect their ability to continue exploiting the country's natural resources in order for them to fund their warring ambitions. The rapid support forces, one of the key areas where they enjoy having money, is like they are dealing with Russia, their exploit of the country gold mine, where they still continue to buy arms and ammunition. It's a sad effect, and Saudi Arabia think that they can be able to, or they are able to reach peace with these so-called guys, but their ambitious, power-mongering attitude is definitely not helping the situation. It's a very sad event, and we pray and hope that that part of the country or part of the continent stop the madness they are going through. Sudanese civilians are actually, the civilians in Sudan are definitely not safe. Women have been raped, tortured. But since April, there is not normal life into Khartoum. Darfur is also suffering from other chaotic situations. Even in southern Sudan, they are also worried, Juba, because their major economic hub in terms of the oil is based in northern Sudan. As long as northern Sudan is at war, southern Sudan is also very fragile. It's a shame and disgrace. Africa full of problems, full of trouble, inconsistent and corrupt leaders are on the helm of affairs. Eritrea president leader urges Russia to play historical role. Eritrea President Asaya Ifikwite, who came into power since 1993, has established a one-party state, created a state religion, suppresses the media, and also had on several occasions imprisoned people, killed, and he also went into bitter battle with Ethiopia, where over 2,000 people were killed. When Abiy Ahmed of Ethiopia came into power, he managed to ensure that they have peace and unity. And when Ethiopia opened war against Tigray region in 2020, Abiy Ahmed was definitely there to ensure that he supports he sought out the support of he sought out the support of Eritrea. And when he sought out the support of Eritrea, they came and seriously attacked that particular country, like especially like the Tigray. When they attacked the Tigrayan forces were being raped. The civilians were being raped, especially in Mekelle, that is the capital city of Tigray. But Eritrea president is now maybe a full sympathizer of Russia, but he was one of the few countries on Earth to actually support Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now he thinks and feels that he can also come there with peace. He thinks and feels that Russia should act there, maybe historical role like peacemaker. That is what he's saying. And he thinks that America's monopoly over the world power had led to the creation of all of these things. Eritrea is one of the few countries which is under huge sanction by the West. So Asaya Ifikwite also visited China and is sorting out peace and support from them. And as long as the like of France, America, Great Britain definitely have sanctions over countries like Eritrea because of a one-party system mentality, a draconian leadership, autocratic mentality, they have no option rather than to go to the opponent of America. And we are now seeing Africa is being used as a battleground. Our leaders should be very careful, because things like this may definitely not help us. Each time you see them coming on the continent, yearning to get things that they want, it is also destroying. Now Africa now is now divided. It's the same thing that happened in World War I and World War II. There are proxies, and we end up to divide the country and to destroy all. We need to be very careful. Let's come to Mauritania. Internet disturbed quite amazing that the government over there had to resort to gruesome acts. And those acts should never be encouraged in the first place. Gruesomely killing a civilian in the name of fighting for their right is against the state. It should be like a criminal offense. But unfortunately, those things are definitely not being done. And if they are not being done, it's like when you advocate for freedom of speech, it becomes a crime in a state where you have draconian leadership style. People don't want you to actually say anything that may have something to do against the government unconstitutional act. Those acts should not be encouraged, and nobody is actually above the constitution. Because when you read about A.B. Dicey, the rule of law, it tells you that equality before the law, and even warrant all freedom of speech. And a man should not be punished until he's been found guilty. But those laws are definitely not there. In Africa, we are definitely not equally equal. And even those who live into the Western world, we have seen how they have been killed on numerous occasions. So where do we have our right? When you resort to demonstration, you even block the media that you have the ability to express yourself on. That is why in Arab states, there is freedom of speech, but there is no freedom after speech. If you utter any statement that goes against the mentality, the ideology, or the philosophy of the state, you are definitely out there on your own. There is no protection from the government, and you could risk being killed at any time. The man, of course, we are now seeing the state has ordered a careful investigation into the death of the young man. But what do you expect to come out at the end of the day? Nothing. It is the police. They are the judges. And they are the lawyers. They are, in short, the court. They can do anything. So it's a slap on the face. And we need to be very careful. We come to another controversial law being passed in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe passes bill to punish unpatriotic act. Bill to punish unpatriotic act. Maybe when Prince Charles was being crowned as King of England, Emerson Mnangagwa, popularly known as the Crocodile, was an invitee. And it was almost over 50 years that a leader officially leaving from Zimbabwe to visit the crown or the Buckingham Palace in England. He was there as an invitee. And people thought that he's going over there is going to mend fences, to create peace, and to even stop the perpetual sanction that Zimbabwe is facing. We all know the key role that he actually played in the overthrowing of Robert Gabriel Mugabe. And Gabriel Mugabe complained bitterly against his person. He said he brought him into power. A person whom he schooled, whom he had to get position, and now use what he gave him against his person. With that frustration, the authoritarian leader had to vote for the Movement for Democratic Change, MDC, that is currently led by Nelson Chamisa, who is not also powerful. Now they have passed what they call a law against unpatriotic act or unpatriotic citizens. In the first place, they are claiming that they have foreign companies into Zimbabwe who are always seeking international community attention for Zimbabwe to be sanctioned. They are disseminating the name of Zimbabwe, especially the Zimbabwean government, with the ruling ZANU-PF, throwing its name into the quarters, maybe disseminating Zimbabwe's name that they are corrupt. The country does not uphold human rights issues, and oppositions are not allowed to express themselves. There is freedom. There is no freedom of speech. There is miscarriage of justice, and the people are being the government of Zimbabwe imposed things on the Zimbabweans. Employment, inflation are almost very high. In fact, even yesterday, the Zimbabwean nurses, we are saying they are the poorest on the continent. Demonstrations have been had. The educational system, which was very colorful, enviable, but fortunately they are boosted as one of or the most educated country on the continent. Citizens, they have the highest illiteracy rate. So all of those things are there. So now, any citizen who may speak to foreigners or foreign governments, throwing the name of the Zimbabwean government into quarters or into the gutters, asking foreign governments to sanction the Zimbabwean government will be deemed as unpatriotic as a criminal offense, which is either liable to life imprisonment or condemnation. They have even seen that it's a calculated attempt to overthrow the government. So these are some of the things. Now, people are saying it's a slap on democracy, it's an assault on human rights. And this is the most controversial bill that Emerson Mnangagwa government has so far passed, and he intends to pass law when elections are definitely pending. Nelson Chamisa may definitely not have the ability to win, and ZANU-PF may end up to continue on into power. And nobody will prosecute Mugabe and his cahoot for what they did, because it is the same program that they are doing. It is the same things that they have. It's a continuation of the government. So if they prosecute anybody within Bobo Mugabe leadership, it is like when one head rules, many heads are going to rule. So they will not do it. So you cannot speak to foreigners in respect of criticizing Zimbabwe's government. Foreign companies who are full of disseminating the government names into bad manner will be sanctioned. It could be termed as a treasonable act. You can either be condemned or sent into life imprisonment. Human rights institutions are condemning the act. Then let's see why Nigeria probe a 25 MPs app for 25 billion United States dollars invested into improving the oil refineries is being investigated. 5 women have been rescued from baby factories. In short, 25 billion United States dollars have been invested into Nigeria oil refinery. And those things we are only working 30%. It is only out of the 100% that it could avoid. It was only 30% of the machineries we are working. Meaning the money was embezzled, either wrongly spent or sent into mismanaged or sent into wrong quarters. So the MPs are disgruntled. They have asked for the investigation of that particular money. And one of the things that Bola Ahmed Tinubu has to face is how he can solve the fuel crisis, provide employment, stop the escalation of Boko Haram, IPOP, and also to see how unity in diversity can be created, especially when you have religious mentality, ethnicity, corruption. Destruction is definitely, but the man is old at 71. Arguably to me he's 80, but he's 71 officially. Then, of course, in Nigeria, they have called baby factories. Do we exploit young girls, send them into particular facilities and ask men to use you. After having sexual intercourse with this girl, if you become impregnated, you will give birth to those babies and they will pay you money and ask you to leave. So women are making babies to get money. Make babies to get money. They hire young men to do those things. And they send those children out. The Western world is really manipulating Africa. And Nigeria has baby factories. Everybody knows about that. It's a real mafia thing. Those mafia societies need to be cut off. So shameful, so disgraceful. Let's see in Angola. The Amnesty International is calling a man who called João Lorenzo, the president of Angola, a clown. I really don't agree with the statement. However, if he's a clown, then let him be called a clown. Maybe he described his attitude as a clown. So it resulted into him being arrested, and the man is now serving 500 days in prison anyway. He's now in 500. He was prosecuted for 2 years. He was sentenced for 2 years. He's now in 500. But the man is definitely sick. There was a time when somebody called the president of Malawi, something like Eritrea. That was when Rafael Tantani used to report. I was going to school and he was actually being arrested. You cannot describe your president as a clown. It's really wrong. But if he does a clown work, must you not describe him so? That is the synergy. Amnesty International is calling for his immediate release. And the man is being prosecuted. Nobody will move us over anti-gay law Museveni won. We have 2 languages. What we tell you in the daytime is what we will tell you at night. Museveni is saying that anybody who is a gay is going to be prosecuted. And whosoever has a sexual intercourse, homosexual intercourse with another age is liable to condemnation by death. All those who know who is a gay pay to prosecute them with 1 or 2 way face justice. Although the law have been effeminized or if not minimized, euphemism have definitely been used here, because I'm not seeing anything in the content of prosecution be changed. You just euphemize everything. So United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has condemned the act. European Union have condemned the act, but I have not seen any African country condemning the act. Anyway, we are all religious and we do not want such thing like that to happen. That is why Africa is saying. Finally, Senegal opposition leader Ousmane Sanko has been prosecuted, will be sentenced to 2 years in prison, where the judge has not sent for his arrest. He was tried in absentia because he did not attend the court. His critics are saying he's an outlaw. He led to the corruption of youth, people under age, sending them to commit crimes against the state, which is definitely unlawful. He has denied. And President Macky Sall has the intention to go for his 3rd term in office. He has the intention to amend the constitution. He has already amended the constitution from 7 years to 5 years. He intends to run for another time in a different pattern of constitution. They accused him to step down. He refused, and he has not refused nor said that he will run for a 3rd time. And people are saying the prosecution of Sanko is being seen as a subversive move by the government to stop him from campaigning. He's actually a governor of one of Senegalese cities. He came 3rd into their last general election. He's the most popular person among all. He was sacked from the government when he was serving as a taxi inspector. So everybody knows him. He has become a very popular person in Senegal. And he's actually given President Macky Sall a tough time to see how he can continue his leadership. Thank you. It's been me, Edward Amara, Focus on Liberia, West African correspondent, coming to you with the latest development on the continent. Join me back tomorrow, same time, same place, for more news and updates.